this road, it takes me home.
Welcome to the inaugural podcast of the Doyle family Detour.
Woo!
That's Ellie, my wife. I'm Michael. And we have a child, Maisie. She's 2 years old. And we are the Doyle family Detour.
She's currently napping, or you'd hear a whole lot of crazy going on. We are in St. Augustine, Florida right now. We are kind of stationed a couple houses down where we've been staying for the past couple months and prepping for our big journey. This is, we're just on some land. You can kind of see the Florida palm trees in the back. But we are officially taking off in about a week for our big West Coast trip that we'll be documenting. But we kind of wanted to give our first podcast as like a way to introduce ourselves, who we are, how we got here, and how you can reach us for any questions, comments, or concerns. And there's going to be a lot of concerns.
Yeah, we're expecting, at least for the first year of our travels, is, you know, we wanted to be able to show you, the viewer, the listener, what to avoid, what to look out for as someone who might be new to full-time traveling like we will be. And like Ellie said, we haven't even left yet, and we've already dealt with so many adversities. The learning curve has been pretty steep for us.
Yeah, do as we say, not as we've done, because it's been a journey. And, you know, we are like the last people you would think to be doing this, because I think when Mike and I started dating, he described himself as like a house cat that gets like let out every now and then. And we're not like DIY fix-it people, which with an RV, things are going to break, and they're going to break every week. And instead of spending an arm and a leg hiring someone each time, it's good to know how to fix it yourselves. And so we've had a lot of learning with that, but we are not normally the fix-it people. We're the hire-it people. So, yeah, we're learning a lot. But I guess we should start with kind of who we are.
Yeah, I was going to say,
how we got there.
Before we get into the DIY part and all of the trials that we have gone through so far, why don't we give you, the viewer, the listener, a little bit of backstory about ourselves?
Yeah, so I'm from Miami. Mike and I met when I was moving to Colorado. We met in St. Augustine, which is where we are now.
Florida.
Kind of where our love story began. I moved to Denver, but kind of was always thinking about him, quickly moved back, and then we've kind of been together since. We've been married for a little over 3 years now, and we have a beautiful psychopathic 2-year-old. I'm sure she will make appearances, and you'll see pictures and videos of her as our travel commences. But we moved to Raleigh for Mike to take a job, and quickly realized that, you know, that wasn't going to be right for us. And I guess I'll let you take over there and kind of about you.
Yeah, so it was a really great job. Let's preface it with, I had a great job here in St. Augustine, Florida. The pandemic hit, just like everybody else, or most people started to realize their worth or try to pivot or understand what was important. And Ellie and I, decided that we weren't really Florida people. We wanted to move more toward the mountains. We wanted to be in 4-season weather. So Raleigh was a great fit. She has a brother there. I ended up interviewing for a corporate job where it seemingly like this was a perfect fit for everything that we wanted. We ended up buying a house that we loved. Yeah. Again, the area was great, but we're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm trying to run multiple restaurants. I end up figuring out that I have to travel at least 2 weeks out of the month.
Yeah. I mean, I think the main thing was that you were traveling so much. We weren't seeing you, and me and Maisie were alone, and he was missing a lot of her youth, of her growing up, and the whole thing was that we wanted to be together. So we just realized we weren't as happy as we thought we would be. And I sent him a text one day when he was at work, just kind of being like, hey, what if we quit your job, sold everything we own, and buy an RV and take off in it? Mind you, we know nothing about RVs. Like, I've seen some TikTok videos and some Instagram posts about, like, full-time travel life, and, you know, you repost a cool picture, and you're like, oh, wouldn't that be something? And you don't think it's really going to be your life. But he responded with, okay, let's talk about it more later. So it kind of started as a joke, and then it became like an idea, and then it was like a plan, and now it's happening. And it's nothing like we thought it was going to be, but I think in a way that's better because it's more real, you know?
Yeah, I think that in particular to you and I, if you are somebody who's looking to venture out into a similar situation where you don't have the experience or you're not really a DIY person, for
like
Ellie,
a fix-it person.
or like a fix-it person, Ellie and I, we're not necessarily that kind of person, but what we're a pretty good team. She's a great planner. I'm a great follower of figuring out whatever she decides to do. But if you don't necessarily need to be a DIY person to be able to want this dream. You just have to have the planning and the motivation.
You have to want it enough to, and you have to be able to say like, okay, what is important to me? And it's easy to say, oh, I want a full-time travel, but can you live without? Can you live without maybe your creature comforts, your laundry machine, your washing machine, your dishwasher? Can you live without stable internet? Can you live without streaming your Netflix show every night? Because there's going to be some times where we don't, where we read a book or we go outside and watch the stars or we watch a DVD, It might not be, oh, it's Sunday night, Dexter's on, let's watch it right now. Because we might be in a remote area that doesn't have that. And like, you have to, you also have to say, can we do this? Can we afford to do this? Thankfully, I have a job, and we'll get to that a little bit later, I think, that allows me to work remotely. But, Michael quit his job. He was the main source of our salary. We sold our house in Raleigh, so we were able to afford to hire a company to renovate our RV, make it kind of into a beautiful tiny home. And we were able to put some money in savings. But we're going down to a one salary family. So you have to budget. You have to be able to go without going out to dinner all the time, without the $30, $40 bottle of wine that you might want to treat yourself to. You have to go without thinking of life on the road as a vacation. And that was an important thing that I learned, is you have to stop looking at it like a vacation and look at it like your everyday life. You still have to wake up and do your chores, and, and even more chores than you normally would do, because there's a lot different and plentiful of chores with an RV. You're still working. You're still teaching your 2-year-old how to not be an asshole,
Yeah, well, she's getting better.
Yeah. Maisie.
She's right in the thick of her terrible twos. I think we've kind of hit that peak, and now we're kind of descending back down to more enjoyable, more palatable, at least to some people outside of her family. But getting back to what Ellie was saying, I think that, what she touched on is, yes, it is so important to be able to plan ahead, have a good plan, and then just slowly attack it. If I recall, and she'll probably correct me, but if I recall, first thing we did, because I was driving a Jetta, she was driving a mom van, we decided, okay, what kind of RV do we want to get? And do we need a truck to tow it? In our case, yes. We decided a fifth wheel was best for us.
So we have, it's a 2018 Primetime Crusader 29BH, which stands for Bunkhouse Light. And I think another video we'll do a whole RV tour and go through the different rooms and why we chose this and things that our renovators added for extra storage and extra just comfort. But you're right. We bought the RV first. And that was because we were told, and this is true, that it is harder to get a recreational loan because it's not looked at as like a something you need. So it was easier to get the loan for the RV than if we would have tried to buy the truck first and then get it. It might have showed that we owed too much money or had too many things, whatever. But we bought the RV in Florida. Picked it up later, and then we bought our truck. We bought our truck used.
Yep. Yeah, we bought our truck used. It's a 2500 Dodge Ram. It's a V8 Bighorn. So it takes regular gas, which I guess in this world is pretty rare. But luckily for us, that's going to be definitely a money saver.
Yeah, a lot of these RVs, and especially motorhomes, are like diesel. So you'll hear the term like diesel pusher a lot. But we stuck with gas, and then we got the truck, and then I sold my car, which was a nice little extra chunk of change because it was totally paid off. And we went down to being a one-car family. So, we first got the RV. then we got the truck, and then we just started making the lists. And we knew nothing about RV life. I mean, we were doing Google searches of like, what is how do you make things run?
What is an inverter?
What is an inverter? What is the difference of AC versus DC? But do you understand how shocked I was when I found out that AC DC, like how they got the name of their band, like, and why it has an electrical bolt symbol? Okay, I mean, like,
yeah, to be fair, I didn't know that either.
Okay, thank you. I felt like I was maybe the only one. So, I mean, when I say we knew nothing, we knew absolutely. We're still learning stuff every day. I had to post pictures of our 2 water hose connections from the side into an RV Facebook group to ask like what the difference is. I just found out 2 days ago, and we've had this RV for like 8 months, that one connection is for when you're hooked up to like city water and it doesn't actually fill your tank, and the other one is when you want to keep your tanks fill, like for when you're boondocking.
Yeah, that's just one small example of probably the 200 things that we have learned about not just like RVs but like houses in general. Honestly, I feel for the people who have to field our questions on Facebook groups, because to them it might seem like, oh, are you kidding me? That's what you're asking? It's such an easy thing to do or figure out, but we don't know. So luckily, Ellie has no qualms with asking any and all questions on Facebook.
Let me preface. Okay, I had a run-in with a Karen yesterday. I didn't even tell you this.
You're aggravating. Your dogs are aggravating. I'm aggravating. And you're aggravating.
But I asked a question, and like, look, this podcast and video is not going to be for like the seasoned vets of the RV world, unless you want like a good like laugh, and this probably is going to be like cringe comedy for you because we know nothing. But I asked in an RV group if all BLM land, which is, I think, stands for the Bureau of Land Management, do you need a reservation for it because it's free public land? And one Karen just wrote back saying, LOL. And I just wrote back, I was like, well, thank you, honey, for your very helpful response. And then she like wrote back and was like, sarcasm will not take you anywhere. And I was like, well, go fuck yourself. I ended up deleting the post because I was getting too angry on internet trolls. But, I mean, that is a dumb question, I guess. But I didn't know. I know nothing. I am in the process now of planning our itinerary for the year. I made the mistake of waiting this long because we take off, like I said, in a week, and we're going to be traveling west. And I knew that campsites and RV parks book up, a year in advance, but I didn't think it was going to be the same for like national forests and free public land. So I'm finding we're actually having trouble getting into some places. And even though staying in national parks isn't like an RV park, you have no hookup, so you're considered dry camping or boondocking. I'm sure you'll hear us use those terms a lot because that's mostly what we're going to be doing. So even though it's not an RV park, they don't have any availability, so we're going to have to be staying kind of off grid and maybe have to drive like 40 minutes sometimes, even when the plan is to be at a national park. So we're running into that problem now. So again, do as we say, not as we've done, because even if you're planning on staying on dry camping sites and national forests and state parks and even some BLM lands, you might have to plan ahead for that and really, reserve with companies.
Yeah, and so I don't even know if we mentioned this. The majority of the time that we are planning on traveling is going to be boondocking.
Yeah.
Just the way that we set our RV up, having a sizable battery bank.
Yeah.
Having an inverter to be able to convert that battery power to AC power. We really thought that's going to be most important when you are going to be boondocking. Like,
well, let me pause you there for some people who might not know about RV electrical systems. And again, this was us. It's all been learned in the past couple months. What runs your like lights and some other small things, I think like your water heater, is DC power. But what runs most things that you'll need, like appliances, your microwave, your air conditioner, is going to be AC power. And that you need to be either like plugged into something like shore power, like at an RV park, or a generator, or have something like an inverter that we just got installed that turns the DC power into AC power so that we can run things like the microwave and, you know, a coffee pot, even if we are just in the middle of nowhere. Because you have to think, like, this is a home, but how is all this electricity running? So there are systems you can set up so that you can boondock. And that's, you know, kind of what we did and what Mike's talking about.
Yeah. And to further her point, in order to do all of these things, in order to create the ideal setup that you want, there's a lot of research and work that goes into it.
And money.
And money. So you have to look at it as if you are to do boondocking the majority of the time, it's almost like laying a base. You have to spend a lot of the money up front to really hone in what you need on your RV so that you don't spend a lot of money out on the road.
Yeah. I mean, there's two ways that you could do this RV life. You could make it so much easier for yourself if you had a lot of money and you wanted to stay at an RV park everywhere you went. There are some beautiful RV parks, but they are anywhere from $30 for the kind of basic, not great ones a night to $150, $175 a night, especially like San Francisco, bigger cities, like easily for just the bare bones RV parks, $130 a night. But you'll get your water hookup, you'll get your electrical hookup, and you'll get your sewage hookup. So it's essentially just running like a normal house. That's very expensive. And also, you don't have your privacy. You're not really out in nature. You're kind of, everyone has their area, but you're kind of right on top of your neighbors. And we didn't really want to live like that. So we chose the boondocking lifestyle, albeit it's a harder lifestyle and more expensive up front, because we wanted to be out in nature. Just completely what you imagine when you think of RV life. Just under the stars, next to a mountain, like next to a lake. That is boondocking. That's not going to be your RV park. So we wanted that. And then we also weren't going to be able to sustain the, you know, hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month staying at RV parks. So we could have spent even more money and done the solar thing, which we are not investing in right now. But
not yet.
Maybe eventually if we like this lifestyle. I mean, we don't even know if we're going to like this. We have camped in our RV twice since we've owned it.
We're sure we're going to like it. I mean, we're pretty sure.
We better like it because all of our money has gone into it.
We can't afford not to like it.
We're going to like it.
By hell or high water.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting back to what you said, very important to understand what kind of style of living you want. Do you like being around people the way that you would be in an RV?
Do you like humans?
Yeah.
The answer for us is no. I'm just kidding.
We like humans.
Yeah.
Not as much as animals, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
I didn't know if that was obvious, but...
Animals are the best. We have 2 dogs. I don't even think we've said that. We're traveling with our 2 dogs, too.
Wesley and Bear.
Yeah, we have 2 awesome dogs. Wesley, our 2-year-old, calls him Sheshy Boy. And then Bear, our grumpy old man. He's more like a cat dog, I think.
Yeah, he's more like me.
Yeah.
But getting back to it, yeah, I think that, you know, if what you're looking for is more space, more solidarity, being able to just see every single star in the sky at night, boondocking might be the move for you if you're considering. And then, like we said, it's either a good amount of money up front and then you save money on the trip, or you're around a lot of people, you're going to RV parks and you just spend a shit ton of money throughout the whole journey.
Yeah. And also, wait, let's say too, with RV parks, there are passes you can save. You can save with a Good Sam membership. There are some, like, you know, memberships you can buy that makes things cheaper, and sometimes they have weekly rates and monthly rates. So it's not, I mean, it's doable. If that's what you want to do, it is doable. And you could do half and half. There's nothing that says you have to only boondock or you have to only stay at RV parks. In fact, I think we're mixing it up a little. There's going to be times where we want to take a long hot shower or have the laundromat right there, and we're going to stay at an RV park and just, you know, we're going to just be mostly boondocking.
Yeah, speaking of that, why don't you talk to them about, like, kind of the things that we picked up on as far as, I don't know if you want to call them cheat codes or shortcuts or ways around the system, but I think one of those things is getting a Planet Fitness membership. So
I get what you're saying now. It's like cheat codes. What is this?
Yeah.
But there are things that you can do to help you save money along the way. So we have, it actually is with our health insurance, so we get it for free, but we have a Planet Fitness membership. So because when you're boondocking, you have to also think you're not hooked up into water. So we have our water gallons on deck, and then we have an extra water bag that's 60 gallons that we have for when those run out. But we're going to have to continually be refilling our water when we're out in the middle of nowhere. So that means that you're not going to take long, hot showers. So we have a Planet Fitness membership solely for the reason of Mike and I being able to go there and shower. I mean, maybe we get a workout in, but it's mostly for the shower purposes. There's also some memberships that you can buy that help alleviate the cost of some camping sites. Like we purchased a Harvest Host membership, which is really cool. I got it on a Black Friday deal. So I bought the year, I think, for $80. And that is basically like you could stay at wineries, distilleries, breweries, museums, etc., all around the country for free for one night stay, but sometimes they let you extend. And all they ask is that you kind of just like contribute to whatever's going on. So if you're staying at a winery, maybe buy a bottle of their wine. If you're staying at a farm, then, you know, maybe pay for a farm tour to feed their animals or buy some of their fresh produce, which is all things that we would be doing anyway. So it's like kind of a win-win. And so we're staying at some really cool spots. I'm excited. We booked 2 nights. So they allowed us to stay the first night for free with Harvest Hosts. And then a second night was $20 at this brewery right in the middle of French Quarter in Mardi Gras. In New Orleans. So that's going to be really cool.
Harvest Host is just one of many ways to network.
Yeah. Ways to meet other RVers, because besides, you know, some Karens and Facebook groups, the community is really nice. And you would be surprised. I was surprised with how many young families are choosing this lifestyle. They have realized they don't want to fit into this corporate mold, this 9 to 5 where dad or mom or both leave all day and kid goes to school, and they're not really spending this time together, where they just decide that they are going to take off and full-time travel. And a lot of families are road schooling or unschooling their kids. We don't really know. We have a couple of years before we figure out, you know, what Maisie's school is going to look like. But, I mean, the main thing is we wanted to be together. And I was so pleasantly surprised with how many other like-minded families from all around the United States are doing the same kind of thing. We're going to meet so many cool people.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems that we are kind of right on the peak of this interest. Like us, along with so many others, are starting to pop up, especially on social media platforms. Kind of similar to what we're trying to do right now, which is great. I think the more the merrier. But there was still a good amount of full-time families on the road even before the pandemic.
Yeah.
I think the pandemic was just kind of like a conduit to just like this boom.
Yeah.
Of RVs.
Well, you know, I think that for all the things that we have done wrong and like learned the hard way along the way and learned the expensive way along the way, the 2 things that we did right were buying our house when we did, because we bought our house in Raleigh right before it was unaffordable, and buying our RV when we did, because now, I mean, unaffordable and also unavailable. So we bought through Camping World. And so we bought our house in Raleigh. Let me backtrack a bit. We bought our house in Raleigh and sold it like 9 months later and made like $60-something thousand for doing absolutely nothing to it. So that was a big chunk of what contributed to buying the RV, renovating it, and I think we should give a shout out too. I don't think we've done that yet, to our renovating company. It was Rain to Shine Ventures. They were based out of North Carolina, and they did a good amount of what you'll be seeing around the RV. And then we bought our RV and through Camping World, and from what I hear now, they are like $20,000 more than what we paid for it, just for like the bare minimum. And we bought ours used, and it's in incredibly good condition. There was just a slight amount of water damage that Rain to Shine Ventures took care of for us, and other than that, it's like having a brand new RV. And I think we paid, I want to say $33,000 for our RV. For our 5th wheel?
Yeah, not to deter you or anything, but you'll probably be paying a little bit more than $33,000 if you want something similar in what we have.
I would definitely suggest.
5th wheel.
Yeah, I would definitely suggest looking on things like Facebook Marketplace and buying used. I also hear that buying an older RV and fixing it up is better because they were built stronger. Like they're trying to make them so quickly now that I mean, I don't have a lot of like factual basis, so do your research, but I just hear that the newer ones are more flimsy than older ones. And that's saying a lot because these are not built to last that long. They're built for recreational. I know, our table's like moving. They're built as recreational vehicles, right? So I don't think it was with the intention of people traveling and putting so much wear and tear on them. So there's a lot of maintenance and upkeep that goes along with having this kind of lifestyle. But if you're not scared of getting your hands dirty and things not always going as planned, you know, this might be the lifestyle for you. And if it is, come meet us out on the road.
Yeah, we'd love to see you out here. Just so that we could be able to share stories with people that have gone through similar things that we have in these last 6 months. Just so that, you know, if anything, that's comforting to know that you're not the only one.
Yeah.
So
I promise you, any dumb thing you've done, we've done it worse. Or we will. So if that makes you feel better.
Or we definitely will.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you are someone who is listening to this or sees this and is in the same, I don't want to say boat.
Maybe like getting the idea for
yeah,
starting out this journey.
Yeah, please. I want to hear your story. I want to hear your comments.
Yeah.
Because it's so helpful when you realize that you're not the only one who feels like maybe on a weekly basis that, oh my God, I am way over my head. I just sunk all my savings into something that is going to totally fail. I mean, I know I get that feeling at least once a week.
The good thing is that we usually alternate those feelings. We call them what the fuck moments. And usually when Mike has that, I'm there to be like, you got this. You're gonna make it. And usually when I have my meltdowns, Mike is, you know, there and he's the rock. So we go through we switch off our what the fuck.
I mean, in order to have any kind of success in a relationship, you have to be the rock for the other one. I mean, everyone with a good team and a good relationship knows that.
Yeah, and I think also having a good sense of humor, like, it's important that when things go wrong, and they will go wrong, you just try to laugh because
never get too high, never get too low.
Don't get high on your own. Oh, we're talking about different highs.
Oh, what were you talking about?
I don't know what I was talking about.
We've never heard of that.
So maybe we should end this first podcast with kind of just what our plan is going to be and how people can reach us and where they can find us and kind of what we're going to be doing and what we're about. So do you want me to take over?
Yeah, why don't you say it?
All right, well...
she's more well-spoken than I am.
No. So we are going to be doing a weekly podcast. We will be videotaping it, and it'll be a weekly YouTube video as well. The YouTube video will also kind of show if we're talking about locations. It'll be videos of us, but also videos of, you know, where we are, what we're doing. There'll also be some YouTube videos sprinkled in, more educational and shorter than just like the whole recorded podcast. It'll be just like little clips of, you know, maybe we're switching out the oil in our generator and we want to show people how to do that. Or we're doing the top 5 things you should do in Yellowstone. So that'll be sprinkled into our YouTube channel as well. And then you can find us on social media, which will just be kind of like pictures and videos of our everyday life, which is Instagram and TikTok. And then our email, if you have any questions, things you want us to talk about, things you want us to answer, there'll always be a Q&A session in our YouTube and our podcast.
And what is it called?
We are the Doyle Family Detour. So you can find us on all social handles at Doyle Family Detour, and our email is doylefamilydetour@gmail.com. And like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, I think she pretty much said it all.
Yeah.
We're going to be on YouTube. We're going to be on TikTok. We're going to be on Instagram. Pretty much any platform that you're used to for content, for getting information, or for a good chuckle about RV lifestyle, we will be there to be able to provide that for you. And again, please comment with any kind of stories that you have about being on the road.
Yeah, we want to hear it. We will share them too. We'll share your stories.
About the trials and tribulations of your first year on the road. Love to hear that.
We want to meet people. We want to meet you guys. And no question is too dumb. And I say that with entire honesty from the depths of my heart. Ask us whatever you want. Email us, ask us, we will answer it, and we will answer it truthfully and honestly. Our whole thing here is that we want to be honest. while this is a beautiful and exciting lifestyle, it's also difficult and at sometimes disgusting and sweaty and poop ridden.
And beautiful.
And beautiful.
And worth it.
And worth it. But we'll be honest. We'll be honest about all of it. So follow us on our journey, and we can't wait to share our biggest adventure yet with you guys.
Yeah. And with that, I'm going to close it out. This is our first podcast, our inaugural podcast. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you on episode 2.
Yeah.